Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase, the podcast that helps you achieve more in your business life and career. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group, and with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How about you, Eric?
I am excellent. Just coming off of a very busy weekend. The nonprofit that I am chairman of the board, the Support InfoGo Initiative, had its first annual bike ride fundraiser. And it was a lot of work, 9 months in the making, and we finally pulled it off this weekend.
Oh, that's fantastic. And obviously, the way that you got that thing going with our good friend and your cohort, Ray Charpentier, is just amazing. So, I mean, it was great to see because I saw some of the Facebook posts that everything went very well. So, congratulations. You
Thank
are
you. It
the two of
it
you are touching a lot of people.
it was a lot of work and it was absolutely exhausting, but well worth it.
Yep. So, it's hard to believe we are staring at October starting tomorrow, but it's sure looking like it out here today. I think we're a few weeks ahead of time as far as foliage goes in the fall. My woods are turning nice and they're beautiful right now. So, but I think the lack of rain in September, which was absolutely one of the most beautiful Septembers I can ever remember, probably helped because the last few years we've had a lot of rain in September, but not this year.
We have, and of course, we've got, as we're talking about this, the southeast of the U.S. has been pummeled by Hurricane Helene. So our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in that region.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody who's helping to put things back together down there. Yeah. Thoughts and prayers, definitely.
So we're going to take a little trip today and head out to Seattle, where there was a fish market. Now, Seattle has gotten to be known for Microsoft, for Starbucks. But this fish market has become a tourist attraction because of the way it does business. And I am talking, for those of you familiar with this, about the Pike's Place Fish Market. And this was a market that came very close to shutting down. It's probably 15, 20 years ago already. They were having major problems and they turned it around when the employees decided, well, you know what? We're having all of these problems, but we're here, we're feeling good. We might as well have some fun when we come to work. And they started tossing fish around, which of course drew a crowd. That tossing has now evolved. It's a full-fledged show that the fishmongers put on for the people who are coming by the shop. And the fact that they were having fun turned the entire market around. Now it's a tourist attraction, it's a successful fish market, and it's the subject of an entire series of books titled Fish that explain how the market turned their fortunes around using fun. So this is something that most businesses don't think about. They're thinking about profitability, they're thinking about, their customers, but there is a powerful motivation in employees having fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think as a lot of you know, I used to be a BNI assistant director, and we had annual and international conventions every year. And I think it was right around 2003 or 2004 that it just happened to be in Seattle. And I think they might have just been getting going with that because I know it was a tourist attraction back then. And I remember having a whole lot of fun watching them in there. But I think it was before they got the books and all that kind of stuff I didn't even realize happened, but I am not surprised that they did. But it was just an amazing, amazing place out there. And it's It's great. And the bottom line is, if you don't have fun in whatever you're doing, you got to start adjusting. And obviously, we talk about this from a lot of different angles over the last bunch of years that we've been doing these podcasts. But it's so, so important to not only have fun at home, but have fun at work, because obviously they are very, very related. Because if you come home with baggage, you're in trouble. If you go to work with baggage from home, you're in trouble. So you got to balance the two and work on them both and really just have as much fun as you possibly can. And obviously, at work, if you are an employer or an employee, if you are in a fun workplace, it makes going to work every day a whole lot easier to do that. And back home, obviously, if you bring that home with you, it's so much better too. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer to think about that. But again, a lot of what we talk about is just pure awareness that you already know. So let's dig in.
That's it. We've all heard the saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But the fact of the matter is, most people don't love what they do. They're there for other reasons. Some, it's because they need the job to make ends meet. But for a lot of folks, they love the end result of what they do, but they don't necessarily love the day to day getting there. Well, this is something that you can turn around, certainly with the help of others in your organization. You should be having fun. You should be having relationships with your coworkers that you would consider them friends. And some of this can be very easy. Challenge yourself. Little Create little contests or challenges. How many things can you get done in a day? Who gets the best, referrals? Whatever it is. Turn things into a friendly competition, but keep it friendly. It's not about being better than everybody else. It's about rising all ships. So find ways to enjoy yourself at work. And this can be little things. Bring in pastries one day for everybody and watch how that simple gesture makes people smile.
Yeah, a lot of us get caught up in just the day-to-day routine, which I call just living in the land of Saneville, which is just letting the outside world, wherever you are, whether it's at work or at home or anywhere, just control your life when you have no control over that. But you can just snap your fingers in any present moment and say, I am going to take control right now. And exactly like you're saying, you can do something at work, whether it's just you starting a movement yourself by walking up to a couple of coworkers and doing some things, or talking, maybe an employee meeting, calling an employee meeting and just talk about things where you can start building morale and teamwork and so on and so forth. But a lot of it comes with planning. A lot of it comes with purpose. If you're not having fun at work, examine why you're not yourself and see if you can't rekindle yourself using your purpose as far as, whether whatever's going on there. I choose to be happy. I choose to try and make things better and try and make things go. And obviously, if things aren't going well at work and you're not doing something that you know you're never going to like doing, it's time to really be working on something else. Take a look at your passion and purpose and start working towards something, some other direction that you might want to move in while you're there at work. But in the meantime, don't turn off the positivity, because you can do that yourself. And no matter whatever else other people are doing, if you choose that for yourself, you're going to make life better for yourself, even while you're supposedly miserable.
Certainly. And, I have worked in numerous corporate offices that I loved the end product of what I was doing, but the environment there was toxic. It was miserable to be in. And in certain cases, I decided to take it upon myself to be the department cheerleader. And it wasn't corny or anything like that. Basically, what was every once in a while, get everybody together and go out for drinks after work. Doesn't even have to be a regular thing. Just start walking around and going, hey, we're going out for drinks after work. Are you in? You'd be amazed at how many people will jump on the chance just to, blow off some steam. Back in the early 2000s, I worked at a .com company that was absolutely toxic. But because they were a .com company, they had some of the most advanced technology in the conference room. Big screens, surround sound, everything, for presentations, everything. And what I would do is I would sign out the conference room Friday at 4 o'clock, and I'd book it till about 7, but quite frankly, at that point, nobody else is around. They didn't care how long we stayed in there. Brought in pizzas, brought in movies, and took advantage of this fantastic tech setup to have the department watch movies in surround sound, and just had time to blow off steam. And a lot of times that is what's necessary.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be a little thing. I'm sure most of our listeners will remember the movie Austin Powers. Well, in one such toxic environment, I had sitting on my desk an action figure of Dr. Evil. And when you pushed the button on the base, it said, "Why am I surrounded by frickin' idiots?" And everybody knew it was there. And when people were having a bad day, they would come over to my desk just to push the button and make themselves feel better.
Yeah, and that's one really, really good point that you make. I mean, if things are miserable and you could just make fun out of it and turn it around, those things that tip people off all of a sudden are a source of fun. And the bottom line is when you're doing pleasurable activities, you release dopamine, which leads to positivity and can counteract more uncomfortable feelings of hopelessness and stress. And you start developing momentum going the other way. And the bottom line is, if you're just in a negative mindset, your momentum automatically is going to stay negative until you do something about that or latch on to somebody who's positive. So, I mean, it is there. And the bottom line is, I mean, when you did that, obviously you probably got to know a lot of your fellow employees a whole lot better and found out some fun things about them, even people who originally maybe you might not have liked. The bottom line is there's stuff to like about everybody that's there, even when it's their faults. Because some people who are miserable and so on and so forth, if they start talking about their faults in a fun fashion, everybody tags along and they find out that they're not so unusual because everybody's got them. So it's something that you just got to do. And like you're doing, just get creative and turn the switch on. And if you can start doing something on a regular basis, like you were talking about on a weekly basis or on a daily basis or whatever, and surround yourself with like positive visuals, things like that,
Yes,
sayings and so on and so forth. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do where when you look at something, it's an automatic trigger that's going to turn on that positivity for the moment.
that's it. And all of this can start very simply. If you have your own space, whether it's a cubicle, an office, personalize that space. Bring things in that make you smile. It can be family photos. It can be a toy that you keep on your desk, or in some cases, several toys. Something that makes you happy, that when you look at it, you start to smile. And then you can take the next step and bring some things in that don't just make you smile, but start conversations. I used to have a hobby of creating what I would call digital paintings. And what these were, they were photographs that I then went in using Photoshop and transformed so they looked like watercolors, oil paintings. Now you can do this with a couple of clicks. It's no big deal. But back then it was very time consuming, and the results were surprising. Well, I printed out 7 of these, put them in small paper frames, and hung them in my cubicle at one of these offices. And people would come by and look at them and be absolutely amazed. And it would start a conversation. Because let's face it, when you're talking to somebody at the office on a day to day basis, you're generally talking about work. If you can start a conversation about hobbies, about family, about things you do for fun, it brings down the stress level. And at Pike's Place Fish Market, they were literally throwing fish around. Well, in an office, you can't necessarily throw things around, but you can bring things to toss around. A little sponge ball, a koosh ball, as little things that, if they hit somebody or hit something, they're not going to cause any damage. But it is a lot of fun to suddenly, step up from your cubicle and toss a ball into somebody else's cubicle to get their attention. Don't take things so seriously. The fact of the matter is, with very few exceptions, doctors, police, firemen, most of the work that we do is not life and death. And yes, it's important to get the work done, but you can find ways to have fun doing it. And again, it starts with personalizing your space and getting to know your coworkers. Now, today, we've got yet another challenge in that so many people are working remotely. So you're alone at your desk, in your office, wherever you are, but you don't have other people to have fun with. So find ways to have fun on your own and take advantage of the fact that you do have this solo space. Listen to music, listen to audiobooks. There is an app, iHeartRadio, that is absolutely free, that has hundreds of radio stations you can listen to. You can listen to local stations. You can choose the type of music on a station that you want to listen to. They even have stations that are stand-up comedy. Find what makes you smile. Find what makes you laugh. And you'll see, not only will it boost your productivity, you'll find yourself actually enjoying yourself at work and making it that much easier for you to do the work. You'll be more productive, get more done. And as long as it's not something that's truly distracting you, you'll find the quality of your work will go up because you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, the atmosphere that you work in. I mean, if you have an office at work, I would decorate that whatever way you want to decorate that, bring in some pictures and this and that. If you're working out of your home, it's so important to, in your home office, really make that a happy place to be. And one of the things that I talk about all the time is positive visuals. So they could be pictures that you have that you want to put up about maybe vacations and this and that. In my case, it's my family. And I do calendars every year, picture calendars. And I know I've talked about this several times, but I'm at my desk and I'm looking at the last 6 years of family photos on those calendars every single day. And I'm fortunate enough to be working out of a home office where I have a nice, beautiful glass deck door looking out into the woods. But if you don't have that, you can customize your office. I mean, if you're working at home, have your husband or your wife or your kids or whatever help you decorate it too. And the bottom line is, if you get them involved, maybe they'll bring stuff to stick in there, which will make you smile. I mean, I'm not only sitting looking at my calendars, but I got a whole bunch of like knickknacks. I got a golf cover, head cover that my son gave to me of my granddaughter when she was a year old, and her mom had long black hair, and she laid down on the floor, baby did, her mom's hair, so the hair looks like it's covering everything. And my son had a head cover made out of that that just says "Best Grandpa Ever," and that's staring me right in the face. And the first thing my daughter-in-law ever got me when I went to Rhode Island at Champlain Seafood was a lobster hat. And these things are just sitting there, and so are other items too. So pull some stuff out and put them around you. Surround yourself with these things, and you can't help but be happy doing so. If you have a workspace that you can put personal things in to really spice things up that will make you smile, they are automatic switches for you to do that once you set that up. So just work on that and switch it up. If you're getting bored with that, just bring some other new stuff in. Or maybe do that at the office and bring stuff in and share it with each other and see what they have. So, but obviously, your workspace, you control that. So make it a happy place.
Right now, if you're working in corporate, there are corporations that actually have very draconian rules about what you can do with your workspace. And if you work in a place like this, one of the things I recommend you do is put together an inspiration file. This is something that you can keep in a desk drawer that when you need that extra boost, you can pull out. This can be certificates about commemorating things you've done and achieved. It could be photos. It could be, a comic book that you just, remember from a kid. And you open the drawer up and take a look, and, it makes you smile. There are ways to get around these draconian measures. Unfortunately, most companies are realizing that those draconian measures are counterproductive. They think, well, we don't want our workers being distracted. And in fact, you don't want to be distracted from getting your work done, but you do want to be able to have a break. The fact of the matter is, especially if what you're doing requires a lot of concentration, that is energy that you are spending to do that. And the fact of the matter is, we all only have so much energy that we can expend on doing something before we have to take a break and rest and recharge. In fact, studies have shown that if you're working very intently, you can only do that for about 4 hours a day before it actually physically exhausts you. So you do need to take these breaks to find a little fun in your day to recharge. And if you can bring in your customers to have fun with, like Pike's Place did, that's great. There is another book called Fun is Good, and it's written by someone who was the manager of several minor league baseball franchises. And he talks about all of the different promotions that they would do and all the different ways that they would have fun at the stadium. Because, when you go to the ballpark, you don't think about this. You're there for a couple of hours of fun and you're enjoying yourself. But the folks that work at that, for that franchise, they were there at 9-10 o'clock in the morning, and they're there until well after the game ends, and it can be exhausting for them. And they had to find ways to have fun, not just to, help the employees, but also involving the customers to get people to turn out. And if somebody comes to your place of business and has fun while they're doing their business, whether it's a retail location, a bank, a fish market, if they enjoy coming because they have fun when they get there, guess what? They're coming back and they're telling their friends to come. So it's another way that having fun becomes good for business.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you can do at work, as you had talked about, is just come up with different events that are going on at work, come up with themes. Obviously, we got Halloween coming up in October. You can have a lot of fun with that. And there's many other things you can do. Just be creative. Think outside the box. I mean, you have to do this for your job anyway. Why not do it for yourself and for the morale of your fellow employees? And really, really important too, communicate with, if you're working there, communicate with the boss. Hopefully the boss has a little bit of an open mind. You're going to be able to, they'll be able to listen to you a little bit, but especially with each other. Open up and communicate with each other instead of just holding things in, because we're all human. And the bottom line is everybody's going through the same thing. So it's so important to be able to look forward to things. We've talked about your own personal life before, planning vacations and always having something to look forward to on your calendar. It's the same thing in your professional life. And so it's so important to just think outside the box and make things happen for yourself. You're not going to sit there and say, okay, when's the boss going to have some fun going for us? Do it yourself, just like you did at your place.
That's it.
That's what's so important, to just take charge.
Take advantage of the situation. If nobody else is going to step up, you do it. Bring the fun. And of course, we've been talking about how fun is good for business, but it's also good for your mental well-being. And that's not just in the office. So many people, they come home from work and they just, they'll eat something, they'll collapse in front of the television and just vegetate. You have, on average, 16 hours a day that you're not in the office. Now, some of that'll be a commute, some of that you'll have other things that have to be done, but you still have a big chunk of life out there once you leave work. Make sure to schedule some fun. Go out with friends, see family, go to a ball game, go to a movie, whatever it is that you enjoy, schedule time to do it. If you're married, schedule a date night with your spouse. If you're not married, find somebody to schedule a date with. But it is so important for your mental well-being to be enjoying yourself as much as you can. The most powerful thing for mindset is a smile and a laugh. And the more you can do it, the better off you'll be, and the better you'll feel, and the better other people will feel as well. So we are coming up on the end of our time for this episode. So Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway this week?
Takeaways: have fun. Basically, stress happens to all of us. Schedule something, even laugh at it. One of my favorite t-shirts that I've ever seen, I actually took a picture of it. I can't remember if I put it in a card or not, but it says the beatings will continue until morale improves. And it's a really, really funny t-shirt. But if you can just laugh at it and just turn it around, it's so important. So schedule fun at work. Don't take yourself so seriously. No one else does. I've used that saying many times, but just make it happen and include others. And just like we've talked about before, as far as actually planning things, put that in your calendar where that's there. Always have something to be looking forward to at work, whether your work is at home or whether it's in an office and with people at home outside of work. And just make sure that that's always something that's going on. It's your choice every present moment to choose positivity. And life is always going to have its ups and downs. But if you work at doing it and take charge and be the catalyst for it, rather than wishing something got better when it's not going to happen without you doing it yourself, that's the key. Just make it happen.
Yes, it is. And it's not just finding things to have fun. You can actually make fun. The things that bother you at work, the things that cause stress, find ways to laugh at them. I have worked in numerous very deadline intensive environments. And I remember my boss actually put up a sign in one of them. It was just a picture of somebody laughing, and it said, "You want it when?" Because we knew everything was deadline intensive, so we had to laugh at some of the ridiculousness of the deadlines. It's I had in one situation, somebody came to me with they said, "I need this that, such and such a date." And I looked him right in the eye and he said, "Well, unfortunately, I left my time machine home today, but, because that's not going to get done by then." You have to be able to poke fun of the things that are causing you stress. Find ways to have fun, and not only will you get more done and be more productive, you'll be a lot happier doing it. And that's the key. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch every episode at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.